Hey, MotoAmerica fans. This is Paul Carruthers, and this is our weekly MotoAmerica podcast, which is Off Track with MotoAmerica. And I'm with Sean Bice, who's our co host on the show. For those of you who don't know, we do this thing on a weekly basis. We include guests on 95% of the shows, and there are a variety of people from within our paddock, most of which are our racers, both veteran and young stars, young rising stars. We have a young rising star with us on the line this morning. But first of all, Sean, how's it going back there?
Oh, it's going great. I'm looking forward to this next round. You know, it's funny. I've been looking at Google Maps just to kind of familiarize myself with that area because I think I've only been to the Seattle airport once in my life, and it was like a change planes type thing. I don't know that area at all, although I do love a lot of things about up there, including I'm a big Eddie Vedder fan, and I also love Chris Cornell, not just because JD Beach looks like him, but I love that Seattle grunge band stuff. But that's about all I know about that area. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it. It's going to be very foreign to me. Did you ever go to that the Portland International back in the day when we had races
Yeah,
there? Okay.
it's funny. It's funny because when I first one of the I think my first year at Cycle News, I covered two races. They had back to back. It was like Portland and then Seattle International Raceway.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
the Portland one, Dale Cordley actually won the Superbike race. So it was like the first time I ever talked to him, and this was like 1986 or something.
Wow.
Um, our guests' parents probably weren't even born, but
Great.
and then the next weekend was either before or after, but then they raced at Seattle International Raceway, which was in Kent, which I think is north of Seattle, so the opposite direction. But
Yeah.
actually, Wayne Rainey won one of those races. So
And that was AMA or what back
yeah,
in those?
they did for a couple of years. They did these AMA. Um, they were called something else, AMA Pro Championship. They were like different from the actual Superbike Championship,
Oh, okay.
but they
Wow.
generally get pretty good riders there. So it's funny that Wayne was actually there, but he was there and he won on a 500 Honda, if I remember correctly. It
Oh,
might have been
that's so
Bob
cool.
McLean's or something.
Yeah, Bob McLean, right? When he was riding that RS 500. That's right.
But it's
That's
it's a
cool.
really nice area. I've got friends up there, so I've vacationed there before, and I mean it's a beautiful part of the country when it's not raining, and August is like without a doubt their best month. So we're going at the right time. So it'll be fun, and it's nice to actually have it so that you have to fly all the way across country instead of it just being me all the time.
Yeah, finally, I can't. Well, I could drive because a lot of these teams are driving. In fact, a lot of them are leaving today. But yeah, I'm not going to drive to that one. That's a little too much for me. So
Yeah, it's a long trip. Well,
yeah.
why don't we introduce the kid we've got on the show today, who's Dominic Doyle, and he's from South Africa. He's one of our top uh, Liqui Moly Junior Cup racers. He's actually second in the championship, 34 points now behind Rocco Landers after he had his first rough weekend at our last race at Pit Race. But his season, man, it started like gangbusters. He won three straight races in the first three races we had at Road America. He's had 3 seconds to go with that, and he's had a third place finish. So the only time he's been off the podium was in race one at Pit Race when we had that pretty scary accident. He crashed in that, and then obviously was unable to restart, but bounced back the next day to finish on the podium again. So he's had quite the season, and I mean, if it wasn't for that little bit of a blip there on the radar, he would still be right on Rocco Landers' tail. But there's still plenty of races left, and those guys seem to be willing to battle it in every single round. So let's bring Dominic in and chat with him. How are you today, Dominic?
I'm good, thanks, and yourself, guys. Thanks for the introduction.
Oh, not so bad. I just telling the truth, so it's easy. A lot of times
Yeah,
I got a lot of times I got to lie through the entire intro, and that's harder. So
it's been pretty great this season, Dominic. I mean, we've kind of gotten to know you because when you're on the podium and you come in and we do the press conference, Paul and I are always in there. So we've gotten to at least know you from that point of view a little bit. But I would say you're an individual that is a smoldering individual. Your exterior is pretty cool, calm, but man, when you put that face shield down, you definitely are a badass, as they say. So, do people think that about you with your personality? You're fairly low key, but obviously an intense.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm more to kind of stick to myself in the paddock. I don't get around that much.
that's
But yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's just try to focus as much as I can and focus on the racing.
We talked about this last week, Sean, and I told you how impressed I was. But it seems funny, but I kind of like when somebody doesn't like to get beat. Um,
Yeah.
'Cause I've been that way since I was a little kid. Like, I'd throw the checkers board or tip the Monopoly table over or something if things weren't going my way, which isn't exactly the right way to handle it, but you get my point. But I like Dominic because when he's on the podium and he's in second and Rocco's won, um, or whoever, but I mean, in this case, it's usually Rocco. Uh, you can see in his face that he's like angry and disappointed and upset and all those emotions that generally make you work harder and do better in life because you don't like losing. And I mentioned it in the podcast last week was, one of my favorite things is Scott Russell always said, you show me a good loser and I'll show you someone who loses a lot. So Dominic, that's pretty much your makeup, right? I mean, I'm not seeing something that's not true, right? I can see that you're not happy when you get second.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last year I'd be happy with a second or a third just because I wasn't finishing up there all the time. But when you get that like taste of victory and you kind of want to stay there, and when you get beaten, it doesn't feel too good. So yeah, obviously I'm not extremely happy with the second, but I mean I'll take it for now, and we're just gonna move on to the next race and improve.
Dominic, I think it was the maybe second Road America round. I think that's the one I recall that, you know, Sam Lockoff and you and Matthew Skoltz and Cam Peterson. I think you guys were all on the podium that weekend, or you were all around the podium. And you guys are all from South Africa. And there was a photo taken of you guys all together up on the podium. And I got to thinking, it's amazing how many riders we have from South Africa. But the thing that I honestly don't know about you, other than the fact that I do know that you're living in Indiana, but I don't really know what brought you to this country. Did you come to this country to race? Did you race prior to this? And why do you live in Indiana? And I don't say that in a bad way because I live in Ohio and people from Indiana. I'm just curious, what the background is.
So, I was racing full time in South Africa. I started racing when I was 5, like started racing motocross around then, and then I got into supermoto when I was about 10 or 11. Um, then I got a chance to ride like little NSF 100 bikes on a go-kart track for a while, and after that I got like a KTM 390. It was kind of like a spec class in South Africa, and just a little different to the one over here. It was just kind of more stock, like no suspension and stuff. So I was racing that, and my mom moved over here to because of my stepdad's job. He works for Fusia, so they're based here in Indiana. So that's kind of why we're in Indiana. My mom and brother moved first, and I kind of like I was racing in South Africa and just like kind of waiting. And my parents got me a 400 over here, and we tried that out. Like I eventually got all my paperwork sorted out, and I got over here, and we did the last 3 rounds of the MotoAmerica season. Um, and before that, I did do 2 wildcard rides. John Orich got me on the road racing world wildcard for the KTM RC Cup. Um, so yeah, that was really great, and I can't thank him enough for getting me over here. So that was kind of like the start, and when I moved here full time, we started racing just as like a privateer, and I raced the 2019 season as a privateer, like up until the last 3 rounds, and there was a opening at BARTCON, and I went and did the last 3 rounds for them, and got some strong finishes, and we're with them this year again, and it's working real great. And I can't thank them enough for having me on the team this season and all their support and hard work.
So a lot of the credit has to go to being on a team with that much help compared to just being a pure privateer, because the results have obviously just changed overnight. But was that a byproduct of getting some races under your belt last year and just working hard in the off season and having a goal of being able to run at the front since you were able to get on the podium at the end of the year?
Yeah, for sure. When I joined BARTCON, we did like in that off season after Barber, we did like a whole lot of off season training out at Indy Motorsports Ranch with my crew chief Dustin, and we just rode and applied stuff from like parking lot drills to, and we could just get straight out on track and apply them straight to the track. And I think just the seat time through the off season really helped, because like before being a privateer, it was kind of harder to get like track time, and like I'd have to find track days, and I just wasn't on the bike as much. So yeah, the off season training really helped.
So, Dominic, I want to talk a little bit about your team too, because obviously they've had a huge influence on you. And I mean, we ran a video on our social media, which was you lining up on the grid and with Dustin Apgar kind of cheering, and you can see he was totally motivating you, and it makes me laugh just knowing the way your demeanor is, and knowing Dustin and the fact that I love the guy. He's a bit of a crazy person though, and he worked with Sean on Varsity a couple of years ago. And, I know he's originally from Vermont, and I like New Englanders because I lived there for a while. But tell us about your relationship with Dustin and what he's doing for you, because it clearly is helping. We can see that.
So yeah, when I joined BARTCON, I started working with Dustin, and like he's the best. He does everything for me, and he works so hard to get me out on the track and does everything in his power to put a great bike under me and share all his knowledge with me, get like just making me the best rider I can be, and whether it's bettering my riding or bettering the bike, and he just does an awesome job.
I was just looking at some of the videos that he has of you doing crazy stuff at the house. Like pulling I saw one where you're actually like swimming and pulling the boat. So does he just, I mean, it looks kind of fun because it looks all different all the time. Oh, by the way, I've had Sean do that to the point where I could actually water ski behind the boat. That's how good a shape.
Oh yeah, I got top speed, man.
So anyway, it looks kind of fun. I mean, it's obviously a big challenge, and he comes up with different ways of training you. So are you enjoying that?
Yeah, for sure. It makes things a lot more fun. It's not like just one set thing that we're doing every day. He was kind of surprised that I could move the boat a little. He thought it was gonna just like stay there. But yeah, it's great training with him every day, and we'll be ready for the next round.
So where are you guys based? Because BARTCON is out of New York. I know Colin Barton is there. Dustin was from Vermont, but I think he lives in Phoenix now. You're in Indiana. Where are you doing this training?
So right now we're at my house. Dustin came to my house after Pittsburgh, and we've just been since Pittsburgh just riding, training every single day. We went out to the track day at Barber. We've been at the go-kart track like every day of the week, and swimming across the lake, towing the boat, and like just we've been practicing hole shots because my starts weren't so great, or they haven't been so great this year. So we've got that sorted out. We've been practicing hole shots in my driveway actually. So
I saw that as well. I was a little worried that tree seemed a little close.
I don't know. I haven't had any close moments yet, so I'll keep it.
All right, good.
It's funny, Dominic. I almost hate to bring this up because we don't want to belabor the point, but Matthew Skoltz gets busted on sometimes about his starts, although he's been doing a better job lately too. And I can't attribute it. It's not a South African thing, is it? I mean,
I don't know. Yeah, like I didn't really have the best technique, and Dustin's kind of worked that all out of me and got good solid technique that his dad taught him. So he said his starts have always been great with that technique that his dad taught him, and he passed it on to me, and it's really been working great ever since I've been trying it. So
wow,
we'll
that's
check
awesome.
it out next round.
Yeah, it's not a good idea to give Rocco anything at the start there, is it? I mean, he's obviously difficult enough to beat, but if he gets off the line and you don't, it just makes things nearly impossible. And I think that's kind of what we saw a little bit
Yeah,
of at the last round.
yeah, it definitely makes things harder when like you get like a bike in between you and you got to get around him. So yeah, either I want to be in front of him into the first turn, and yeah, definitely not have anybody else blocking my way if he's in front of me.
One of his strong points seems to be the fact that he doesn't seem to make many mistakes. And I know you've been down on yourself because you have made a few mistakes, and that's really just been the difference thus far, don't you think?
Yeah, for sure. Just little mistakes in the race, but I think it actually all like the start kind of all like contributes to like having a bad start and like you're all flustered and like trying to get back up there and close that distance, and you I tend to make mistakes when I'm a little like hot and trying to like push, and so yeah, mistakes have kind of been the downfall these last two rounds, but definitely the start will be better, so I think the mistakes will be minimized.
How does it work with Junior Cup, Dominic? The bikes obviously they're not as powerful as a super sport bike, or even a Twins Cup bike. Obviously, is it a thing where you got to carry a lot of corner speed? Is it not? You can't do you can draft and pass, I guess,
Yeah,
coming out of turns. But what's the technique that you need to use in that class of racing?
yeah, it's definitely carry a lot of corner speed compared to where like the bigger bikes is like a point and shoot. Um, so it's yeah, getting in there. I mean, I like to be late on the brakes, because you don't want anybody getting up your inside, but just carrying that brake pressure to the apex and getting on the gas as early as possible to carry that corner speed, and just getting in your tuck as possible because it doesn't have that much power. And yeah, those are definitely things I worked on in the off season.
Is there do you I mean you're not a small kid, right? I mean I'm trying to remember, but I think I'm always looking up at you, which is not doesn't mean you're big by any means because I'm not. But is the size a factor on those bikes? It must be.
Yeah, I'm 5'10", the same size as my crew.
Yeah, the leathers fit perfect.
Yeah, they did. It was really convenient. But yeah, it's. I think it is a factor. You just have to like really minimize like movement and like just try and get in your tug as early as possible, but without unsettling the bike. But yeah, it's definitely tricky. Being a little bit bigger, getting in behind the bubble.
So, Dominic, I want to talk a little bit about Colin Barton too. I'm getting to know him a little bit better, and I definitely did at Pittsburgh because I met the three wounded. Well, actually, more than three. I think there were four wounded warriors that were embedded in that team, and Colin's doing a lot of great work with the Wounded Warriors Project. And he also, I know, he made a donation to Raymond Rizzo, his Finding the Finish Community Center, which he's a chaplain in our paddock as well as in American Flat Track, which is what. So it's really cool. Colin is a very giving person, but he's got a colorful vocabulary. Let me put it that way, which I love it. He calls it as he sees them, and I kind of have a soft spot for Irish accents, being that my first name is Sean. So, but he's an absolute character. How does it work? Does he make you nervous? Does he inspire you? Does he make you laugh? I mean, tell us about the dynamic inside that team in dealing with him.
He makes it a fun and interesting weekend. That's what I can say. There's never a dull moment in the pits, and he always keeps it entertaining.
But he seems to have a heart of gold with all the things he's doing, right?
He has what?
He has a heart of gold, though, with all the things he's doing to help out the Wounded Warrior Project and all the other philanthropical things that he does, as well as supporting a team. And also having a team is pretty awesome, too, obviously.
Yeah, he's really in it for the love of racing, and he's just trying to grow the sport and do as much as he can.
That's so
cool. All
cool.
right, speaking of growing the sport, what if you could have it your way? How are you going to go about moving forward in your career? Is it? I mean, are you gonna hang out with Sean and I, or are you gonna piss off and go to Europe? What's your deal? Because I mean, obviously, we'd like you to stay and work your way through the ranks that we've kind of set up for MotoAmerica as a path to take. But do you have you thought that far ahead or not?
We've got some like plans for next year that we're still working on. I'm definitely looking at staying in the US, but yeah, I'm not gonna leave you guys just yet.
That's good. That's good. We feel good.
Yeah, is it too early to say? I mean, would you go right to a super sport? Do you think you'd go Twins Cup or?
We're still working through
All
a few
right,
things.
I won't get you in trouble.
Sure, I'm not sure if I don't think it'll be a twin, but yeah, we'll see.
All
right, cool.
I'll keep you guys posted.
Thank you.
Yeah, let us know. Dominic, do you know if I don't know if you know this or not, but I tend to ask this of a lot of our junior cup riders or our younger riders, are you still growing? Have you stopped growing? Do you know if, you're projected to get taller? Because you're a good size. I'm saying you're a good size for being a racer, not that a taller rider isn't. But, we've seen, like, obviously Rocco's gotten a lot taller this year too. And I mean, Alex Dumas, another one. It's like, oh my gosh, that's amazing how much he's grown. So, do you think you're going to grow even more? Do you have an idea?
I think I'm kind of good for now. I think I have stopped growing. Yeah, I hope so at least. But yeah, I haven't noticed any more height added in the last year or so. So.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I mean, sometimes between the off season, when we see you guys right off, at the beginning of the year, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, I really noticed it in Rocco. I'm sure you did too, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure. He did get a lot taller compared to last year. But I mean, I was also like that when I was right around his age. I was pretty short and a little chubby when I was in like grade 9, and then I hit a growth spurt, and I think grade 11, and yeah.
I'm still hoping for my growth spurt.
The growth spurt definitely helped.
I think I've talked to you before about this, Dominic. You don't have as heavy a South African accent. I mean, Cameron's got a Joburg accent quite a bit, and I mean, I know Matthew's got a little bit of a different accent. He's not Afrikaans as much as being from Durban, but your accent is probably lighter than either of them. And Sam Lockoff has a heavier accent than you as well. Is there a reason for that? Why that is?
To be honest, I'm not really sure how to answer that question. But
now it sounded like it.
You see, it comes when you like talk about it, but then when I like speak to like American people, I just like it. My voice just instantly changes to the American accent, so people will understand what I'm saying. I don't even know how to control it, to be honest.
It's amazing. It's like two different people. You got the Indiana Dominic Doyle and the South African Dominic Doyle. That is really good. Nice job.
To my brother, it's like normal. Like I'm speaking right now. Like, cause you guys got my attention on it, so I'm back.
This second part of the podcast is brought to you by the South African rider, Dominic. One from Indiana. Hey, I want to ask you about, again about Dustin and, some of the training that he puts you through. And, it reminds me a little bit about like Rocky when, Rocky used to have to chase a chicken around that's Rocky's way before your time. Maybe you've seen it. I don't know. But I know he has you do some sort of non-standard and unusual training exercises. But one of the things that I was talking to him about that's coming up that I really want to find out about, it's sort of involving the whole team, or certainly you, Dustin, and even Colin. You're doing in between a couple of rounds. You're going to Mexico, and I don't think you're just going to visit Richie Escalante. You're doing something with a mountain. Tell us about what that is.
Yeah, we're going to the San Pedro Martir hill climb, the whole team. So like we're all riding. I'm racing a 250 Supermoto. Dustin's racing a 500. Colin's racing his MT-09. So it's like I guess like a fun team weekend. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've never done anything like road racing before, but I'm pretty excited to try it.
Is it a Pikes Peak type thing, or is it more on? You said Supermoto. Is it both asphalt and off road, or is it off road? What is it?
It's like a Pikes Peak type thing. It's a hill climb, all tar. I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm doing it on a 250 Supermoto because Colin said if I ride anything bigger, there's chance of me hurting myself.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
I guess I'll just have to go with the 250.
Keep the speeds lower.
Yeah, that's right. But wow, Dustin on a 500, that's serious, and Colin on that 900, that's pretty intense too. That'll be something.
Yeah, I hope they don't hurt themselves.
Yeah, well, that's cool that you guys are doing that. So it's probably a good team building exercise, but it's not after the season, right? Is it in between a couple of rounds? So obviously you got to kind of take care of yourself a little bit, I would think.
It's in between Barber and Brickyard.
Okay. Oh, wow. Gotcha.
It's a little tight, but we'll make it work.
Yeah, it's cool that you guys are doing it. I love the fact that, when there is a little bit of time between rounds and stuff, a lot of the riders, you guys get involved in doing different things. The training that we've seen you do with motorcycles, do you do anything with your core, or bicycling? What other things do you do to keep yourself in shape?
I do quite a lot of back exercises at the gym, just for my lower back muscles. Just one of the core muscles, like the primary muscles that you really use when you're riding is the lower back. So I try to keep that strong, and I do quite a lot of mountain biking out here in Indiana. I also do some eye training it really helps with my peripheral and just keeping focused on the track and being aware of my surroundings.
Oh yeah, we saw it. We did it. We ran a thing this week with that guy Michael Torres. We saw you doing the thing where you were catching a ball, and I've seen Matthew do that before too, and I think Bobby Fong's done it. What is that about? Is that like a hand-eye coordination or being able to focus on the ball? What are you trying to do there?
Yeah, I've just kind of started working with Michael. It's kind of just to get your like reflexes going, get you warmed up for the race. The eye training that I do with Dustin is it's actually kind of training that you do when you get a concussion. And obviously I don't have a concussion, but I do it to keep my eyes sharp and really work my peripheral, and I feel like it's quite a game changer.
Are you guys doing the test at the Ridge or not?
Yeah, we are. We'll be there.
Is it? I mean, it's always fun to go to a track you haven't been to, right? I mean, it's more challenging and it's always different.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like a really nice place, and I'm excited to ride there.
All right, awesome. Well, look, we're about out of time. We're going to let you go, and I wanted to tell you it was nice having you on the show, and also congratulate you because you're having a really good season, and I think it'll only get better for you. So keep up whatever you're doing, because whatever you're doing seems to work. And we'll definitely see you. Gosh, it's already next week. So have a safe weekend, and we'll see you out there in the great state of Washington.
Oh, yeah, I just want to give a shout out real quick to all the South African family and friends for the constant support. And thanks to you guys for having me on the show, and can't wait to see you guys in Washington.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you too, Dominic, and I hope to see you again like we do quite often in the press conference and talk about how you did in the race. So keep that up. So thanks for being on with us. I also want to thank the fans for listening to our podcast, as always. Of course, this next round we're talking about at the Ridge, fans aren't going to be able to be there, which makes it even more vital for all you fans to please subscribe to MotoAmerica Live Plus, our popular subscription streaming service, which not only streams our live races, most of the practices, all the qualifying sessions, Super Pole, and all the races for all 5 classes, but it also has a video on demand feature, which enables you to go back after the rounds if you've missed them and watch them. If it's a situation where you don't know the outcome or you want to review it again or something, you've got it in a catalog of information, which is another feature of MotoAmerica Live Plus. And after we get done with the Ridge, we're going to rounds that we will have fans at. So also don't forget to get your race weekend tickets for our upcoming rounds. And you can go to MotoAmerica.com for complete details on Live Plus, on our race weekend tickets, and take a look at our calendar, read the stories that we put on there, and learn more about these awesome athletes that we have in our MotoAmerica Series. Thanks, Dominic, and
All
thanks,
right,
Paul.
you guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.